Yeah, could you send out the link for the church, folks? Hey? Oh, oh, really? We get started. We expect a few more people here. Hope everybody's doing fine today.
I am doing
Mike, where
fine
you
and hanging in there today.
Hanging in there. All right. Fine, hanging in there.
Praise God.
Hey, Osiris.
How you guys doing?
Doing great. Thank
Great.
you. Yeah.
Happy to see you all again.
Yeah, likewise. Awesome, awesome opportunity here to get together again and learn a few more things.
A whole lot more, a whole lot more. Thank God for you all. I'm truly impressed and in great gratitude to God for you all, for real.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Mike,
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Rick,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm testifying no longer high blood pressure.
Oh,
Woohoo.
praise God. That is a blessing.
To God be the glory. No longer high blood pressure.
That you're all here with us. Our program today is going to be of a different mix. We have the holidays in mind, right? The holidays are around the corner. And for some of us, really, it's a time for us Some of us enjoy this, but we also at the same time have a little bit of trepidation about how much we may eat uh, or what kinds of temptations we might have. And so we're going to provide for you some potential solutions. They may not be all together 100% perfect, but they're probably better than what we're doing on an ongoing basis. And just happy that you're all here. God be praised. And because of the nature of the program, we're going to do things just a little bit differently. Barry, if you don't mind playing that first video, and then immediately after that, we'll ask Michael Hartung to give us a word of prayer to open. And then I'll give a few disclaimers and we'll get right into the conversation and the recipes. How does that sound, everybody? Put something in chat if you're excited about learning to be healthier with things that are decadent and some people call them sinful.
Michael, your camera's not on.
Oh, wow. Yeah, let me get my camera. The camera is not on because I have to put on this virtual camera. I think that should do it. Thank you, Barry. Appreciate that. And let's see now. Got to do it one more time then, right? One more time. Still not on. All right.
There we go.
All right, now we go. So go ahead and play the video for us, Brother Barry.
Do you ever feel the need for more energy, vitality, and a greater sense of well-being? Then stay tuned. We are natural health enthusiasts with yet another delicious recipe of best practices in holistic lifestyle health. Our natural health planners, sponsors, presenters, and friends compile and share the simplest, most natural discoveries and practices targeted to restoring and maintaining energy, as well as a sense of well-being that we all want in our daily lives. It has been said that health is a state of complete harmony of the body, mind, and spirit. Therefore, through the practice of the 8 laws of natural health, integrated with evidence-based research, we see a world empowered by Christ's love that is passionately seeking to be its healthiest in body, mind, and soul. And that's why we're so glad you've chosen to be here. Join us each month to help us celebrate the Creator for the resources and knowledge that consistently optimize His gift of natural healing in our bodies. We thank our hosts at the All Nations Fellowship Seventh-day Adventist Church in partnership with Community Outreach Incorporated for providing this one-of-a-kind opportunity that helps us all live healthier tomorrow than we are today, every single day. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's your Natural Health Meetup presenting team for this life-enhancing edition.
This time. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, everybody. I'm going to bow my head. I ask you to join me in thanks to the Lord. Father in heaven, Yahweh, we thank you for another opportunity to gather together here and share information, share ideas of how not only to heal, but to prevent, a preventative way to live our lives. And Lord, you have blessed us with this health meetup. You have blessed us with people that have a passion to share the health message. Lord, there are so many things and so many ways that we can learn. And I guess the greatest way we can say thank you is to pass this information on and bring this to other people so they too can share in a healthy lifestyle and healthy ideas that they're not aware of. So Lord, I thank you for everybody that participates. I thank you for Dale, Michael Campbell, for starting this meetup and in continuing to bring this message Dr. Rick, Serena, so many people, Lord, that have a passion for this. Thank you. Thank you for such a great blessing. May we now embrace this and learn things that we can not only carry forward, but use for ourselves. In Jesus' most holy name, I ask, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Michael. That was wonderful. And again, welcome to everyone that's here this evening. We have some really special treats for you. I will say, first of all, that we've been doing this. This is going into year 10, and it's phenomenal that we have a community of people that are coming to us from time to time and sharing victories, health victories, and those things only come about when people change their habits. So we're not here to prescribe or diagnose or share any medical consultation with you through this forum. If you'd like to do that, then please reach out to one of us and we'll find a qualified professional that may be able to help you. And certainly you would want to look at those in your local area who may also be able to help. And so this evening on our hearts, Dr. Danny, Dr. Rick, Serena, we're here and we're concerned about the fact that we struggle to make the good habits stick. And sometimes we have to find ways to trick the brain, to think a little bit about. And I remember when I was growing up, I remember not even so much growing up. I remember even after I was married at the age of 25, 20, 24, 25 there, my mom would send a cake from Jamaica to us here in the United States. And I remember one of my roommates in college that, would always talk about, oh, you bring the whole cake and I cut one slice and say, okay, the slice is yours. I got the rest of it. And that was me. I was the one that would eat the whole thing except for the one slice. And those things had sugar. Those things had butter. Those things had all kinds of things that were not good for the human body. Of course, I was younger. My body could probably deal with it a lot better. And what we don't realize sometimes is that as we age, the body is not as capable, not so much because it couldn't be, but because of all the many things that we have done to it over the years, it is less efficient in removing toxins and dealing with those kinds of free radicals, as some people call them. So I know that I have had a sweet tooth for many, many, many years. And as many of you know, I was diagnosed with diabetes. And because of changing my lifestyle and being able to form different habits, I've been able to reverse that. But still, I'm tempted every once in a while. And what today's program is about is to help us all to do that. But I know now that when I do research, when I find out that something is unhealthy, I find it so much easier to say no. And it doesn't happen in a day. Sometimes you have to fall and have a piece of something. And that little piece sometimes turns into many pieces. And so we struggle with this. But I've found that by being a part of this community, I'm constantly reminded, and that is really where I'm landing here. Being a part of a community where you hear this message over and over, it does help significantly over time for you to drink more water, have less sugar or no sugar at all, no refined sugar, that is, and just really make the decisions to avoid those things that we know that are not healthy. And so I wonder, Dr. Danny or Dr. Rick, Serena, what has your struggle been like? What is your story that has brought you to a place where you're so passionate about being healthy and doing the right things? Anyone go first?
Thank you, Dale. Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everyone again. And even some new faces, some new names. I'm glad to see you guys. But for me, this journey actually started back when I was in the Caribbean. My father, well, he grew up in another island called St. Lucia, but he has a distinct physique about him, right? And I would often go back to our old albums and see pictures of him when he was younger. And he was a boxer, he was a weightlifter, but he often worked in the countryside, building homes and building things. So he had a physique about him. And as he got older, we realized that he had developed also diabetes, and his health turned, right, for the worse. But throughout all of that, friends, he had been in multiple accidents. He'd fallen off the roof during a hurricane. He'd had many surgeries. There were just so many things that had happened in his life that many people said, "You will never walk again. Your back will probably be broken, this, that, and the other." But none of that affected him. My dad was able to ride bikes. My dad was able to run again. And I wondered to myself, how was that possible? After looking at his life, I realized my dad was always eating, and back in the islands, we call it ground provision, right? So things from the ground, that's where he lived. That's where he grew up as a young boy, literally as a young boy. He would get things from the tree. He would get things from the earth. He would get things from the sea. He lived a natural, he didn't use oil. He didn't use butter. He didn't use sugar. None of those things. It was a natural diet. And then I realized this. If you take care of your body when you're young, you stand a good chance of your body taking care of you when you get older. And so after I had torn both of my Achilles tendons, I made a shift for myself. I too, like Dale, I had a serious problem with having a sweet tooth. Okay, I still do. But I realized after my surgery, I wanted my body to be healthy later in life, and not just now. And so I read this book called Sugar Blues. Fascinating book that gives a history of sugar, what sugar is made of, and this person's transformation because they gave up sugar. And then I also read another book, and those two books, Self-Heal by Design by Barbara O'Neill, those two books transformed my life, and now I am so focused on living up until my hundreds if I can. But that's my passion right now. I really want to teach people, take care of your body now. That's the body that God gave us. And the only time we'll have a new body is when we transform ourselves, when He transforms us, when we get into the New Jerusalem. So thank you for allowing me to share.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that story going way, way, way back and including your family. So, Lady Serena, would you care to share with us an idea of what your journey has been like?
Can't hear.
You're on mute. You want to turn on your mic.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can I be heard? Okay, okay. So yeah, my journey has been an interesting one as well. I have learned to give up the things that I really used to love. Growing up as a little girl, my French fries, ice cream, chips, and all these foods that were fun for my age and my friends. But then I realized that, either I enjoy them now and suffer the consequences after, or I don't enjoy it, deprive myself, but then the consequences are good consequences because now I'm enjoying good health. I'm feeling better. I'm not getting sick. I have more energy. So I have I think about these things, you know, when I eat something, I think about, okay, how is it affecting my body? And sometimes I may have some weak moments. I must admit, you know, it's not easy. But the thing is that I'm always conscious about it and I'm always trying to do better, you know, and then each time I overcome is easier for the next time, you know, and always praying and asking God to help me. That, you know, I always rely a lot on God to give me the willpower that I just wouldn't have on my own, and understanding that it's a greater purpose. It's not so much depriving myself, but actually doing myself, taking care of myself and loving myself enough to put only what is best, you know, or try to aspire to put what is best and be grateful to God for the body he gave us. And then one last thing that really motivates me is that I want to able to live a good quality life and not have to depend on someone. You know, if you don't, when you don't have good health, you have to depend on people, and that's something that I would not want to be in that situation. So all of these things motivate me to stay on the path, you know, and if I fall off a little bit, get back up and keep going. So that's my experience and my journey.
Wow. Thank you so much. Yeah, what I like about it so far is that we all have points of vulnerability, weak points, right? Things that tempt us, and sometimes they catch us by surprise, and we just pick that thing up without even realizing we did it, right? But so we're human, and so this is one of the reasons that we building the community keeps our awareness really high. Dr. Rick, thank you, Serena. Dr. Rick, could you care to share a little of your story, sir?
Well, I'm listening, enjoying everybody else's story. They can just go on and take my slot. But I guess that I grew up in semi-rural South years ago, and I guess perspective has given me this understanding. We oftentimes we'll think I love this stuff and I give it up to improve my health. And what I've come to understand is, for me, I inherited certain weaknesses. And so my taste, my practices were unbalanced. And so they gave me unnatural desires. I wanted things that were not good for me, or I wanted things in excess. So the healthier I became, the more I let go of, you know, eating a pound of cookies in one sitting, right? So it really, I didn't feel like I was sacrificing anything. I feel like the more my body came into balance, the less I wanted those things.
Wow.
So I appreciate that, because as I age and grow older, my health gets better and better and better in some ways, because I'm still learning to celebrate and gravitate toward things that are out of balance for me. That's the way I've come to look at it. Not that I'm sacrificing this or that, but to some extent, I like those things because of inherited sicknesses, or so to speak, or imbalances that I inherited. So every day I learn a little bit better to celebrate today what I'm learning to improve about my life.
Amen. That's
Wow.
terrific.
That's awesome. And I love that cadence, you know, that whole pattern that we're seeing here, because it just seems to me that as we rise, as we fall, as we have weak times, and we also grow at the same time, so we're getting better at making better choices. And really, I think that's a huge accomplishment. And I love the word you use, celebrate, because that's huge when we can celebrate even the small wins, even the
Amen.
tiny improvements, right? And so thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Rick, as well. Well, tonight, folks, we're talking desserts, right? Desserts are it. We will have 4 recipes tonight that we will actually share with you. We are going to share those recipes with you, not because we want to share the recipes with you, but because we would like for you to use them. All right? Give them a try. See what well, let me say, some of these recipes are so good, you don't even want to have family and friends over. Right? Because you're going to want to just have it all to yourself. But please be nice. Invite friends, invite family, get some feedback, maybe even improve on the recipe, and allow this as an opportunity for you to understand some of the nuances that can occur as we attempt to do the right thing, make the right choices based on God's plan for our lives. So I'm going to share my screen and get us rolling here. And this is one of those areas that we're going to see. Now, I think I've shared this before. It's a little different than I did before, but this is what I'm calling no nog. It's a beverage that believes it's a dessert.
Mhm.
And you got to understand, this thing is so delicious. Myself and my wife, almost every Saturday night, we have this as a treat. I'm still trying to find a way to make it into an ice cream. Haven't quite perfected that yet, but I will tell you, it does not taste like eggnog. It is not a substitute for eggnog, but it kind of looks like eggnog. And so I'm calling it no nog. And it's real simple. You just get these things together and you blend them, add water and ice, and that's it. It is so quick. But just give a few guidelines. You want to use any pear will do, the Bosc pear, the Bartlett, any one of these seem to really give it a really nice texture. Banana gives it flavor. The almonds, of course, are instant almond milk when you add the water and run it through the blender. And that's a handful of almonds. And a cup, or if you like it a little sweeter, you can add a cup and a half of dates. And then after you've done that, a carrot gives it color. Add 2 carrots if you like it a little bit more orange. And the ginger is where the flavor really is. This is the secret to it. And if you look at the size of the ginger, it's a pretty decent sized piece. And experiment with what is the right amount of ginger for you. And Dr. Rick, when I met him, he always talked about these protease enzymes. Ginger is one of those things that has great enzymes to enhance digestion. And so this is the no nog drink. It's simple. Run it through the blender, almonds in there, add water and ice, and it comes out looking like this. And you can sip it and sip it again, make some more and have some more, but be sure to invite some friends over because this is going to be a real treat. And even for some of the younger ones, as long as they have a taste for ginger, it goes over really, really well. Okay, so that's our first recipe that we're sharing with you tonight, the first one. Any questions on this one? Did I miss anything?
Are you putting these in the chat?
Yes, so I have two recipes on the same slide, so I will have that one's coming up down here. So so when we get done, I will actually put the link to this in the chat so they can have both of these recipes that are here.
Michael, is there nutmeg in that first one that you just shared with us?
No, I have not tried nutmeg in this.
Okay, only because you mentioned eggnog, and last time I was over at your house, I saw something with nutmeg. So, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like a great thing for you to do to improve the recipe, Michael. All right. So thank you so much. Now, I believe, Dr. Danny, your recipe, and if you can share that with us.
Yes. Let me go ahead and share. Did you give me rights to share the screen?
Hang on, let's do that right now. You are now able to share. While Dr. Danny's coming up with that, I just wanted to say that that particular drink, if you notice, it's all whole foods. Every single thing was just off the tree or, just harvested the way. And so it is perhaps the most natural drink that I've ever had on a consistent basis.
All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic. I have a thing for apples. Back home in the Caribbean, we have something called sugar apple and golden apple, but it's nothing like the American apples. And I've always enjoyed making apple crisps, but my old self would make apple crisp that's full of sugar, full of butter. And maybe some of you understand where I'm going with this. But this one, this apple crisp, does not have sugar and does not have the regular butter, the dairy butter. As you can see in the picture right there, it says Country Crock plant butter. And that's one of the things that I'm discovering as I'm part of this health ministry. And I hope that you, as the audience, are going to be picking up on this. We want to go to a plant-based or a natural diet as much as possible. And I have learned so much. I'm sure later on this evening, we'll talk about the ingredients and their benefits to the body. Something else for me, I've never really experimented with arrowroot. But I wanted to get something natural other than some of the starches that are out there. And I know arrowroot is also natural. We have Quaker oats. I chose to go with almond flour. That's there. And cinnamon, everyone knows about that. And so I made two batches. I made one that's the natural way, the old way that I used to do it. And it has a different taste. The new one that I made, of course, you get various apples, right? You see the Honey Crisp, you see, I tried to use 3 various apples and just chop them up. I chopped them up too small. I should have used bigger pieces because after they were in the oven for a long time, they got a little smaller and so I would chop them up a little thicker next time. Mix that up. And this is the final result. The almond flour, because it was so fine, mixed with the granola, with the oats, did not give it as crisp of a cover or a top as I've used in the past. But I think it worked out well for what I wanted. So it's called gluten-free, no added sugar apple crisp. Again, because I didn't add sugar, it wasn't as sweet. But what I'd like to do the next time is to actually add dates. I did an apple crisp earlier that week, but I experimented and I used dates. And my son actually could taste the dates, and that apple crisp was sweet. This one was not as sweet because I did not add the dates. But there you have it. You have the apples cord, you have the arrowroot, lemon, pinch of salt. Oat flour, I chose almond flour instead. And the oats, the cinnamon, did not have nutmeg. And again, instead of the stevia or the erythritol, or you can see that, then I chose to use the dates for next time.
Mhm.
But it was delicious. My son enjoys it. My son is a food connoisseur. I told him he should start his own business one of these days, but he's busy trying to get out of high school. And so, but he says, Dad, it's good. You did well. So I got his approval.
Wow.
Mm.
Apple crisp. And we have a member at our church that almost every week brings apple crisp. I have to check the ingredients. I have to check the ingredients against yours, Dr. Danny.
Yes.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing. Folks, so I think by now you're getting the gist, right? We can have the apple crisp minus the sugar and maybe, yeah, and maybe something else instead of the normal refined sugar. And then it changes the whole dynamic. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is something you eat every day or have all day long, right? But it is something that is going to give you a much better result in terms of your health because of the absence of these unhealthy ingredients. All right. Thank you so very much. That was awesome.
I would want to bring up one
Yeah.
quick comment or thing as I was listening to you. You know, it makes me question or say to myself, what's the point of doing these things this way as opposed to the old way? And it may sound like an obvious question, but I do think we should think about that. I mean, if it's just a matter of taste, then why not just say, okay, I'm going to make up something new or different or unusual? Why do we refer to the old thing? I mean, what's the point? I guess that's what it made me think of. What's the difference, or what am I looking to do with this that the old thing is not letting me do? Am I escaping certain things, or am I embracing new things? What am I trying to do?
And you're probably going to answer your own question, right? But if I can interject real quick, one of the things that I have thoroughly enjoyed and really appreciated is after being part of this health ministry, and I encourage all of us to be here every month. I am learning how the body works. I'm learning the intricacies of the body. I'm learning, and again, for those of you that have a background in spirit of prophecy or the Adventist faith, you understand Ellen White, how the mind, the body, and the soul and the spirit works together, and I want to be all there in all of those categories. And so understanding how the body works and that the microbiome in my system can be influenced by whether or not I add something or leave something out. And that microbiome affects my mind and my thinking, my understanding, my emotions, and that how there's a vagus nerve that goes through everything and is affected by the blood. Yeah, I want to keep this body, this machine in top shape, so that I can do the work of ministry for the Lord, and bring glory to Him.
Amen.
Amen.
That's a very good reason to do this. A very, very good reason to do this. All right. So I believe that, is it Lady Serena? Let me see if I have, I can bring that slide up here. I think, yeah, let me share my screen. Where is my button here to share the screen? Miss Serena has a recipe, guys. A recipe.
Yes. And it's called a banana bread.
Yeah.
I absolutely love banana bread. And I particularly like eating it warm and with some vegan ice cream. It's like so delicious. But anyways, so this I like this banana bread because it only needs 4 ingredients. You're only going to use 4 ingredients for this banana bread. We're going to be using
Oh,
um uh, Michael, do you also have the other one with the
yes. Let me go. Let me find that here.
Okay.
Wow.
This
This,
this one is the recipe for everyone, but the one I want to kind of like show the step by step how to do it. But anyways, this banana bread, all you need is just 4 simple ingredients, which are bananas, maple syrup, and the next one is
coconut oil.
coconut oil. Yeah, coconut oil and the self-rising flour. So those are basically the 4 ingredients that you will need for this recipe. So, and then to make it is very simple, 7 simple steps. So before you begin, you will want to just preheat your oven to like 350. Okay, yeah, those are the 4 ingredients right there: the bananas, the maple syrup, the coconut oil, and the self-rising flour. So you will preheat the oven to 350, and then you can line a 9 by 5 inch loaf pan with a parchment paper. So you have that ready. Okay, so the step number one is that you're going to, let's go to step number one. We're going to peel the bananas, peel them and add them to a large mixing bowl. And we're going to use a fork to mash the bananas. So you mash them till it looks like this. Like a little, like a little porridge, like kind of. So once you mash those bananas really well, step two, then you are going to add the coconut oil and the maple syrup, and you're going to continue to whisk or continue to mix well, that these ingredients will be well mixed. Okay, it might take maybe a minute or two to incorporate it fully. Then step three, we are going to add the flour, the self-rising flour, and we're going to gently stir that in to incorporate everything. I will suggest not over mix it too much because we don't want it to become too too dense, so but make sure it's mixed enough to where the flour is mixed into the batter. And then step four, we are going to transfer the batter into that 9 by 5 inch loaf pan that you lined up beforehand. And then step five, we are going to use like a spatula to spread it out if it's needed to even it out, the top of it. And then step six, we are going to put it in the oven for 50 to 60 minutes. Okay, and you will know when it's done if you just insert a toothpick and in the center of the bread, and if it comes out clean and dry, then your banana bread is ready. And step seven, you just remove the bread from the oven and your bread is ready. That's step seven on the other slide, Michael. There you can see the bread is ready and out of the oven. And please try not to eat it right away. It's going to be hot. So just resist the temptation, allow it to cool, and then you can enjoy this banana bread. So for those of you that are not allergic to any nuts, I also like to add sometimes walnuts to the banana bread. Some people like to add raisins. So you can get creative and add extra things to it. But yeah, so this is a healthy, nice, delicious banana bread that you can enjoy for the holiday season. Hope you try it.
Fantastic. Wow. Thank you so much. I mean, I just finished, well, tasting, maybe eating, maybe having a lot of some of the of the things that I made for this event, for the recipe and the pictures and everything. And I got to tell you, folks, even with what I had, and I'm still a little full, your banana bread makes me hungry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that is just so
Well, I'm
awesome.
actually tempted to go over to your house and enjoy some of those recipes you made, Michael.
Yeah.
Uh,
And going back to one of the, yeah, thank you, Serena. Yeah, come on over anytime. Yeah, one of the things though that Dr. Rick started alluding to is why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And why are we trying to make these changes? And a part of the answer to that is that there is sometimes information that we discover. And and one of the things that I'm discovering with this, we talk about sweet potato pie, we talk about banana bread and apple crisp and, no, eggnog and all these things that have these names with cultural innuendos and deep meaning from the culture. And one of the problems is that we do try to make something like that thing that is healthy. And Dr. Rick was going there, right? But one of the things that I'm discovering is that we really need to be making the thing, even if it is similar, we don't need to necessarily keep the name. So banana bread in this case, could be something else, or the apple crisp could be something else. And so we can give it a different name because it's not necessarily because it really doesn't necessarily always taste the same. And I found that out today with the sweet potato, not pie. Oh, by the way, I got to tell you this. I tried the recipe on Sunday or Saturday night, and it was supposed to be a pudding, but it came out to be a pie.
That's all right. That's all right.
The texture was definitely all right. So I had to do it again. And so in doing it again, it's almost there. It is sweet potato pudding, but it's not quite tight enough. Not quite tight enough like the old way, as Dr. Rick was alluding to and Dr. Danny. And so what I want us to, but it is delicious. It is super delicious. And it is super sweet. And I'm going to tell you one of the reasons why it cannot be the same in texture sometimes and taste sometimes is because the sugar molecules that we add in there, they caramelize. In fact, even worse than that, they actually create a toxin when we put them in the heat. And so that's part of the reason why the texture in many times is different because the caramelization of the sugar molecules, they tighten up the entire bread or whatever. And so that's one of those reasons why it cannot be the same. And so when we change ingredients to be healthy, let us agree that it is something different. Let us agree that it is something that is the right thing for us, other than the old thing that we've grown up with. And so I'm going to share with you at this point. Let's see if I can find that recipe here. Yes.
While you're doing that, I
Yep.
think one thing that made me think about that was when you call it the old thing, then your mind is set up for
Right.
the old thing.
Right.
And so you're measuring your outcomes by a past result
Ooh.
rather than about what you're getting in this new thing.
And that
And
place picks up.
to tag on to that real quickly, Dale, you were mentioning this about culture.
Yes.
So if for the first 15 to 20 years of your life you've been living with a family where at Thanksgiving you have some of these things, your taste buds, right? Your mind, as Dr. Rick was saying, will take you back to when you were younger, and you'll remember how it tastes, and that expectation will again rise. But then when you taste it and you realize, oh, it's different, that might cause some, some dissonance.
Yeah.
So I agree with what you guys are saying. It's a choice. We have to
Yeah.
choose consciously, and that's okay.
And I think as humans, a lot of what we do is based on culture, based on custom and tradition. And those are not necessarily bad things. But when we are trying to do something better with our lives, we have to break rank, right? We have to step outside of the norm. And so, folks, we're going to share with you our last recipe of the evening. This has been a treat to do this, to prepare this for you to learn. In fact, I want to share a different thing. I'm going to share a very important item here because I want you to be able to understand part of the reason why this is so important that we actually do this. Let me get to my screen here. And I did some research on sugars and the different kinds of sugars. I didn't do an extensive thing, but I picked a few items that I thought I should do research on. And we've been learning a lot from Dr. Rick, and the questions that we ask are a lot different than I would have asked, 5 years ago. And so now what I'm learning is not only you look at the ingredients because it has something or doesn't have something, but we also have to look at them working together, because when you mix these things together, now you don't have the things that you originally started with. It is now something different, especially when you add heat to it.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I want to share with you. All right, this is on this side, this is raw, uncooked, the sugar. This is white sugar, brown sugar, turbinado sugar, coconut palm sugar, date sugar, and monk fruit. These are sweeteners. And then after baking at 375 degrees, the same list here, but take a look. Every one of these is higher on the scale of inflammation. Inflammatory contribution of inflammatory factors to the body. And so when you look at white sugar, that tops the list. It just gets worse when we bake it. Brown sugar, turbinado sugar, coconut palm, the only one that survives 375 degrees because it has a 400 degree threshold is monk fruit. And now, in the recipe that I'm about to share with you, as I did the research, I combined some date sugar with the monk fruit because here's the reason why. Inside the dates, even when it is cooked, it has a number of antioxidants and minerals in the date itself that compensate for the inflammatory factor that it would otherwise contribute. So please know to do a little research too. Dig in, ask some challenging questions about what you are actually putting in your body. Is coconut sugar really that good? Is brown sugar? I thought turbinado sugar was it. It's raw. All right, but still has a little bit of that, and it has the minerals in it. So it's not necessarily all bad. So in moderation is what I'm getting to. All right, even if we decide to do these things, they're not necessarily a perfect food. It is still somewhat processed. And so here's what I'm going to share with you now. This is the recipe. Now, this is not the typical sweet potato that you find here in the United States. This is a sweet potato. Some stores sell it as a Japanese sweet potato.
Yep.
Yep. Others call it a Jamaican or a Caribbean sweet potato. And it is naturally sweet. You don't need to add anything to get sweetness out of this.
Nope.
Yeah. All right. And so you can peel it or keep it with the skin. I much prefer it with the skin. As I studied, there's so many more nutrients in the skin itself. But you grate it or chop it up really fine. About 2 large Japanese or Caribbean sweet potatoes get this started. And then I'll make this a little bit bigger for you. You're going to see here that we put a tablespoon of fresh ginger, finely grated. Here's your nutmeg, Michael. All right, half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, then ground cinnamon, and then pure vanilla extract, and then the full fat coconut cream.
Oh, that sounds so good. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. And 1 cup of organic brown rice flour. And I use that to be gluten-free, but also when you look at the inflammatory index, this is much better than much of the wheat flour. And the natural sweeteners. So guess what? I really had to figure this one out. I had to use the conversion charts and everything because it was asking me for quite a bit of sugar. And so I figured out that 1.5 teaspoons of monk fruit sweetener is equal to 3/4 cup of sugar. 1.5 teaspoons of monk fruit sweetener. It is super sweet.
Oh, wow.
It's 8 times as sweet as regular sugar. So you have to be careful with it. You can't put a whole lot. So far, they haven't found any adverse side effects. It has some very good nutrients and types of sugars built in. And it is a great substitute as far as the research is sharing with us so far. But I still use a little bit of date sugar. And here's the reason why. Because I wanted it to congeal. I wanted it to stiffen up a little bit and be firm. And then I added just a little bit more of date syrup in this to make it just the right sweetness, 3 more tablespoons. And then, of course, sea salt, half a teaspoon just to balance out the flavors. And then there's a little custard topping to go with this, believe it or not. And you use coconut milk, date sugar, teaspoon of vanilla, 1/4 teaspoon, and little cinnamon. And these are the ingredients that we use for the sugars, just so you can see pictures of them. Organic date sugar, the monk fruit extract powder, and the organic date syrup. These are the items that go in the custard topping, the vanilla, cinnamon, coconut cream. And there it is. And these are the instructions here to preheating the oven. Get the sweet potatoes grated. Use a food processor or a blender. And if you do that, use some coconut milk to help the process. Transfer those sweet potatoes and get the date sugar. Let's get the spelling correct on this. And spices and salt. And then stir in the flour to form mostly smooth batter. And then you put that in the cake pan and bake for 45 minutes. Now here's the trick. 45 minutes, you remove it, and then you put all the topping ingredients, the custard, on top. And then you put it back in the oven for another 45 minutes until the top is golden brown. Now, this is where this really became a wake-up call, because I know back in the old country, back in Jamaica, even anywhere in the Caribbean that I've been, where they have this sweet potato pudding, it has a lovely sheen on top. It has a special layer of like this little custard thing. And I expected it to look exactly like the way it looked. It did not. Because this is coconut cream. It's different than whatever, I'm not even sure what they used back then. And so it's a little different. So the appearance was, this is when I put the coconut cream and the cinnamon with the date sugar in there. This is when I put it there. And then afterwards, it came out like this, and we sprinkled just a little bit more of monk fruit, sprinkled it across the top. And this is how it came out. And this is the piece that I'm still looking at right here in my dish.
Mhm.
Mm. Oh, wow.
It's much different than the first time I did it. And so I'm going to claim that this is ready. Maybe this is ready. Put it in the refrigerator. It firms up even more. And folks, we're going to give you these recipes so that you will have them, so that you can experiment and bring us back some news, some feedback. Let's try them, see what they do, put a little variation on it. Maybe you know something that could make it even better. And just really happy and excited that we have this to be able to share this with you. So I'm going to start this off. Dr. Danny, I don't know if you can you put that in the chat so that they can get your recipe from you?
All right.
All right, and I'm going to put this. So everybody, are you ready to get your recipes?
Yes, yes,
All
yes.
right. All right, so I'm going to put mine in the chat here to get this started. These are both recipes with this link, and then I'll come back in a few moments with Serena's recipe. We'll actually put that in as a file in the chat, and so that will be your link. Test that to be sure it works, and you have the two recipes: the no nog and the Caribbean sweet potato pudding recipe. And Dr. Danny, if you can, in the meantime, get that going there. I'm going to go grab Miss Serena's recipe here. So tell me, folks, give us some feedback on what you learned and what your thinking was about our recipes tonight and the rationale behind it. Give us some feedback in the chat.
One of the things I wanted to talk about as far as my learning is, I've started looking at ingredients, and growing up in the Caribbean, I never knew that anything that had oats, I believe, was sweet, a sweetener, a sugar. So sucralose or dextrose or and maybe some of you know some other ones, but knowing that now, when I look at ingredients and see many of those words there string together, and then the first word being sugar, I know that whatever I'm consuming has a whole lot more sugar than I need.
Yeah, and the way that as I was studying this, the manufacturers of these foods, very often they calibrate the sugar at just the level that will allow us to want more. And that is okay. So there's the banana bread recipe in the chat for you. Please jump in and claim that. All right, Dr. Danny put his in, the apple crisp recipe. So folks, we've given you 4 recipes tonight. Fair exchange. Will you bring us a recipe next time you come?
Yeah, I'll be curious to try one.
Yeah. See what you can substitute. See what you can make that's new, either way. And just Barry, if you don't mind playing for us the second video.
We're thrilled that you're attending this edition of Your Natural Health Meetup. In between our monthly sessions, you can stay connected with us in as many as 3 easy ways. Our Facebook group has our live as well as archived videos along with other natural health updates and a place to post your questions. Our Natural Health Learn and Share Meetup site has announcements, reminders, and messages for you, and also our confidential requests for prayer page. We love to pray for you and any concerns of life that you may have. Use the link on the screen to stay connected for any one of these or all three.
Yes, but like our audience members, if you have any questions, any ideas regarding sugars, regarding cooking, etc.
Can I, is it okay for me to pose a question at this point?
Sure, yeah, please.
Okay. And I'm posing this actually to Danny, to Dr. Rick, to you, to Serena. You know, back when I was a little boy, they made the movie Mary Poppins and the song, "A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down." And I know that when I was a little boy, and my mother is Sicilian, of course, and I had grits or I had some cooked cereal. And Michael, I know I've shared this with you. My mother made cooked cereal with olive oil and salt. And so this is what I was brought up with. And Michael, you also know dates, raisins, honey were my candy. Okay, so there was basically no sugar in the house except for my mother's baking. And that was a whole different story, and that was only for the holidays. So I went over to an aunt's house and I stayed there, and she made cooked cereal, and they had sugar in it. And this was the first time I ever had cereal with cooked sugar. And I noticed something. It went down my throat so much easier. Okay. I didn't have to make sure that I forced that last spoon in. In fact, if I remember correctly, I asked for more. And I asked my aunt, Auntie, what did you do? Now, this was not an Italian auntie. This was an auntie from America. And she said, well, Michael, how does your mom make it? And I told her. And so she kind of laughed, and she told me the recipe, and I went home, and my mother was appalled. Number one, that I ate it. And my mother was appalled because I asked for sugar in my cooked cereal. But it leads to my question this. What is it about sugar that seems to open up our throat and actually make things go down so much easier? Because sugar is an addictive substance. And though I didn't have it in my younger life, and I'm glad I didn't, I noticed that if I don't have it for quite some time, I'm fine. But once I have it and once I start, then I'm off to the races. Because as Dr. Rick said, I want more. I can eat. I have my own demons with sugar foods, and I could eat Reese's peanut butter cups. Okay, I can eat them. If I would allow myself, I would eat them all night. I would just have them on a table and keep putting them in my mouth all night long. But what is it? And I'm asking from a scientific standpoint. I know I have four people that know so much, and I'm just curious because I know I have a sugar addiction. Actually, I believe that most people have a sugar addiction, whether they know it or not. And my question is, what is it about sugar that opens up my throat and makes things not only more enjoyable, at least upstairs in my, in my mente, in my thought, I seem to enjoy it. But what is it that about sugar that opens up my throat? Does anybody have any type of scientific answer to that? Doesn't have to be scientific, but does anybody have any knowledge of why? And and that's why that a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine good. I can't imagine putting sugar in medicine, but that was a song. But again, what is it about sugar that opens up your throat? And the more sugar, wow, the better, as far as opening up your throat and making it go down and making you want to crave more. So I don't want to make too many questions out of this. My first and foremost question is, what is it about sugar that opens up your throat?
Okay.
Well, I think that this discussion is it's like what's the difference between Jesus and the Holy Spirit? That's what I hear, right? Because sugar is not one thing. There are different types of sugars that the body recognizes. And like there's the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Well, there are basically 3 different types of sugar, right? And there's actually, if you include monosaccharides, there's monosaccharides, polysaccharides, disaccharides, and then polysaccharides, which are actually healing. They will, so when people say, oh, sugar is bad for you, monosaccharides will actually prevent and fight against cancer. Okay. So you have to think sugar are different. But what most people like is refined sugar.
Correct. The white refined sugar.
Okay, so what does that mean? Refined sugar has something in it called fiber. They remove the fiber, and so it's less restrictive. So it's going to go into your system quicker without the fiber. So they strip away the outer layers of whatever they're making sugar from. See, I mean, you get certain sugars from corn, you get certain sugars from other types of things. Some have several types of sugar in it. So it's not just one thing. So you have to look at that stripping away. In past couple of programs, we've talked about fiber being something that slows the sugar down and actually affects all the way down to the cell, where it makes the blood cells, more sensitive to the insulin and allows that to go in the cell where it belongs. Otherwise, there's a resistance there. So there's a lot of mechanisms in there that increase the speed of how our bodies accept sugar or decreases it. So that's probably the simple answer.
Okay. All right. Let me just throw one last question, and thank you. That's excellent, because that explains something to me. Part of that I knew, but absolutely part of it I didn't. Michael and I, with our drinks and other things, we use dates. Okay. And dates, obviously, they slow it down. There's fiber. It's the best way to go. I don't know if I want to say it's the lesser of the evils. But when we come to brown sugar, and I mentioned to somebody about 7 years ago that I only use brown sugar. And this person retorted, well, brown sugar is nothing but white sugar rolled in molasses. And as I was buying some brown sugar one day, I noticed that there is brown sugar that is white sugar rolled in molasses. And then there's a more expensive brown sugar that in the bleached molasses, it says it comes from brown sugar cane. So I just am curious if anybody, I'm posing this to you,
can I
Dr.
answer
Rick,
that
first.
real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Most brown sugar is just they either use syrups or caramel is what they normally use to just soak regular refined sugar in it.
Correct.
The regular sugar cane naturally is brown or light brown, and then some to get it to be something different, they will bleach it.
And that's what you were referring to when when you said stripping away, and it's just white refined sugar.
Well, there is two different things. Okay, the bleaching is a chemical, whereas the other one you can do through physical action of stripping away the outer layers of the plant so that you don't get that, so that coloration. So when most people, when you look in the store and you see brown sugar, it's just a normal, it's the same as white refined sugar colored. So that's no healthier than anything else. Whereas if you have turbinado sugar, that's unrefined, which means it's unmechanically stripped, it's going to be brown.
Is that sugar in the raw? Is that what's referred to sugar in the raw?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You know what? Thank you very, very much for clarifying some of that with me. Again, I've had a question, and I guess one of the things I wanted to know was I never knew about it being, rolled in molasses. And then in the past year and a half, I found that there are two brown sugars, at least the way the label reads, and the one that's much more expensive, at least 2 times as much price wise. It says this comes from brown sugar cane, where the other one says it's rolled in molasses. So I thought I understood that. Obviously, I don't understand the whole thing, but this is something that I want to know more about, because I do have a problem with sugar. And I appreciate all the information I can gather, because not only for myself, but to pass it on to other people. But thank you, Dr. Rick, and I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Michael, for those questions. Any other questions? We have just about 5 more minutes. So anybody who does not ask a question needs to bring a recipe the next time. Just kidding here. But no. Thank you, folks. Thank you so much for coming out.
Can I just add something real quick? Because
we
spent a lot of time on that one direction, but I think if a real basic thing is, people are going to ask themselves why, for some people, sugar is a real big problem, and why from others it's not as big a thing. And in fact, certain people, they don't like it. Okay, it depends on enzymes and how your body relates to those enzymes, whether you're a sugar type of person or not. And so if you don't get enough enzymes, then you love sugar because, and especially refined sugars, sweet things, because your body can absorb those much quicker without any impedance, anything stopping it. And so, whereas if you lean toward being able to break down proteins better with enzymes and such, then you tend to not be as sensitive to sugar overload. So that's the beginning of understanding that, because everything works on simple sugar, like in our bodies, our brain, our muscles. They only work on like glucose. So bodybuilders say, "Oh, I need protein." Well, protein builds structure, but it has very little to do with why the muscles pump up. So you have to remember, sugar is not just one thing. There are different types of sugars. And then your sugar absorption not only depends on fibers and everything, but also enzymatic, how your body relates to enzymes.
All right. Thank you for that, Dr. Rick. Well, folks, we're going to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you all for coming out. And I look forward to next month in December. We are going to be talking not about desserts, but we're actually going to be talking about your holiday meals. Oh, one other thing to mention before we slip away here. Part of the reason you got these recipes is so that when you are going over to someone else's place and they have all these other desserts that are there that may not be healthy, you can take yours and share, and you don't have to eat the others. You can be with the family and have a good time, and you can have your own healthier dessert right on the spot, and also teach those that are there as well. So, yeah, use that as an opportunity. Shall we bow our heads for a word of prayer, please? Dear God, just thanking you for this incredible time. So many options, Lord, and so many ways to approach health. You've given us so many different ways to express ourselves and to engage in the act of community and health and food and beverages. And there's so many choices, Lord, and so many are healthy and so many are not. Allow us to be wise. Allow us to be disciplined. Allow us to love you so much that we can't help but do the right thing, because you are our God and Creator, because you are the one that chooses to love us first and to sustain us. And you've given us all these tools, Lord. Please guide us in all these decisions and choices that we must make. And when we come back next month, talking about foods and holiday meals and community again, we're asking you, Lord, that you'll bring us into the focus of the right decisions, the best ones for ourselves, so that your name will be glorified, and that the sacrifice that you have made, Lord, for us will be optimized because we exist in this healthy form of our lives. And this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Hey,
Amen.
Michael Campbell, it's Allison. Can you send me those recipes through email?
I can.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay.
Okay,
Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night, all.
Thank you.
Goodbye, my friends.
made it through, Mr. Michael.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, in spite of all the man, I thought I was going to go crazy when I couldn't find my phone for such a long time, and then with the other trips that I had to make. So yeah, God be praised, man. God be praised. We're doing His work here, so it's not a surprise that He took us through.
Yeah, well, I think it was a lot different than what we're somewhat normally doing. So it's kind of a different trajectory,
Yeah.
because and it just makes me think.
Mhm.
Um, there's so many different aspects to really understanding food
Hmm.
and understanding nutrition that if you don't really pursue this stuff, you really won't quite understand
Yeah.
why things are the way they are, you know? And so that yeah, it's like trying to uh, chase the wind in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what did you do differently to get your stuff to be different?
Oh, I actually got a scale and weighed the sweet potatoes the way they said in the recipe. And then
Oh,
I put a little bit more of the actual sweet potato as opposed to, just a little less. So it was 2 pounds. I put 2.5 pounds.
oh,
Right. And then I also kept it in the oven a little bit longer so that more of the liquid, and it's not a whole lot of liquid, it was just 14 ounces of coconut milk, but that needed to dry out a little bit more so it was firmer. And as I'm looking at it now, the piece that I have here, it is a lot firmer now that it's cooler. So it probably is going to be even more of a pudding than what I thought.
yeah, because I was gonna say that was looked I don't know how to describe the texture, but it was firmer. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely not a pie. Not a pie. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's good, man. Well, yeah, so we know where we're going with food, so we just have to figure out how for the holiday meals. Um,
I mean, I think one thing that can be done
mhm,
is even though we're doing it kind of like we're doing it this time,
mhm,
but it's more, it could be tied into sort of a theme and why um,
mhm.
a little stronger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, it's like, okay, number one, everybody concentrates on sugar,
Mhm,
but sugar acts a lot different in the presence of fat and in the
mm,
presence of protein.
mm,
And then when you put a lot of heat to sugar,
mm,
it caramelizes, right? And
mm,
can become something toxic.
mhm,
But proteins the get more broken down or denatured, they would
mhm,
say,
mhm.
in the presence of heat.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm,
you know,
mm.
um, there are some really interesting food science books
Hmm.
on the market that would probably be interesting in that regard, you know.
So let me see if I get it. So you're saying that a lot of raw foods in the diet is better than mostly cooked foods.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And there are certain foods that, yeah, uh, can be are made to be refined a
Mhm.
little bit, right?
Yeah.
Um, and juices are refined foods,
Hmm.
right? People don't think about it, but that's a refined food. And and so when you think about that, carrot juice has a very different nature than, let's say, eating carrots.
Yeah.
So you get a lot more um, provitamin A, beta carotene, etc., out of
Hmm.
the juice than you would out of just eating carrots. So it's
Wow.
a very different thing. So
I mean,
people
even
say,
that.
"Oh, I don't want to refined foods, refined food." Well, you're always eating refined foods, you know, pretty much
Wow.
always.
Hmm.
Just how refined is it?
Oh
You
my.
know, and then you come down to how do you refine it? You know, whether you use heat to refine that, you can use, you know, a lot of raw foodists. Well, they aren't actually just eating raw foods because when you dehydrate something, you're still using heat, depending on who you talk to, up
Right.
to 118 degrees or as high as 120, 125 for some people.
Right.
But that's a refining process.
Yeah, I was thinking about that very same thing. Isn't cooking refining?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how they get these chips. And I got a friend of mine that's wow, she's very good at that.
Hmm.
Just she used to help me. I mean, we ran a clinic together up
Yeah.
in Michigan. Man, her um cherry pie, I mean, you know, like what do you call it? She made like a graham cracker cheesecake
Hmm.
that I could just eat all day. It was just that good. And it was just, you know, I don't know many people who would be able to tell the difference, except maybe the traditional ones are extremely sweet. But this one was sweet just enough so that you would say, "Oh my goodness, this is great." It was
Mm.
just, you know, but it was you don't cook it.
Mm.
So um I'm sure I have some of her recipes, but she made broccoli chips. And I've literally seen she used to make different chips and people would taste it and they'd be searching themselves for how much money I got. How much can I get this? How much? It was almost like they were fiending that because of how she did it. They were amazing. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh,
I mean, and she's a raw food chef.
yeah.
So, I mean, if there was time or inclination,
Hmm.
uh, it doesn't have to be for the holidays now. I'm thinking about it. But what if we were to introduce
Hmm.
the spectrum of food and start talking about what food is, types of foods, but have as a feature, her as a feature one time to
Hmm.
come in and just give a short thing on raw foods and how you make them and what makes the difference
Yeah.
between that. That would be kind of just an interesting thing, you know.
Yeah. Especially in the context of, hey, when you cook your food, it's refined.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, um, and that's a whole nother big thing, you know, that I think when in the 70s juicing became a big thing.
Hmm.
Uh, what's his name? Stephen Meyerowitz
Hmm.
was
Oh,
the guy, the Mr. Juice man.
yeah, you traveled
But
around the country juicing.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just think people got in some ways warped ideas about juicing. And to this day, I think a lot of Adventists got stuck in a certain mode when it came to their thinking
Mm.
about juicing and how good it or bad is it.
Hmm.
And um, Ellen White talks about that, believe it or not,
Mm.
and to some extent. I mean, I just think we haven't mined her the instruction God gave to her well enough at all
Mm.
to understand, you know, the direction for eating. But, you know, when you look in the Bible, pretty much they largely just talk about refined foods.
Mm.
They don't really
Mm.
spend a whole lot of time except like if you go to, you know, they talk about going into the promised land and bringing back these raw fruits
Mm.
and things like that.
Hmm.
Other than in contexts like that, they don't really talk about unrefined foods.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, when they were grinding, when Samson was being punished by the Philistines, what was he doing? Refining grain, right?
Yeah.
So the Jesus talked about anyone that hurts these young ones, they
Mm.
will do what? Tie a millstone around their neck.
Yeah.
That was for refining grain, right? So, yeah,
Yeah.
something to think about.
Yeah. 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 I got my my sprouts in the refrigerator. You know, I'm grabbing them a little bit each day and adding them to the salad, and that's
Yeah, this young lady, uh, I call a young lady. She's a mature lady. She she's an expert at sprouting too.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she used to do sprouts, but on the property that had the center, um, and she had a bed and breakfast as well.
Hmm.
But we would go and collect things like lamb's quarters and dandelions and stuff and put them in our salads.
Hmm.
So you literally had raw food, and because all we did is take this stuff and rinse it and clean it and
Mm-hmm.
put it in the salad. It was
Yeah, man.
good. When I was over in Germany and Holland, we would eat. They had a display when I was leaving. They gave this little big to do, and they had a floral display. And then after all the hubbub was finished, they took the display and put them on people's plates, and they ate it. So it was kind of,
Man, yeah, that's a little bit closer to nature than most of us, right?
Yeah. I guess the only reason I mention all this, surely I'm not going to keep you up, but I was just thinking about how we think about food,
Yeah.
And
so could we do like a raw food Thanksgiving or something approaching that with a lot of raw foods?
yeah, I mean, I think that it just depends on where people are in their journey, how we would want to approach it. But we certainly could do a raw food segment.
Yeah, right.
And then, talk about the benefits of eating more raw foods, simply because of the enzyme activity in that, which is probably the biggest thing that most people's diets are missing, is enzymes and probiotic stuff, because we do tend to cook and overcook our food.
Man. That's good stuff.
Yeah,
That's very
that would be kind of different, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not hard to do at all. I mean, that's 90% of what I do is raw.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of debunking
The turkeys
well,
and the ham.
why, people talk about learning to cook certain things, the seitans and other foods like that come from other cultures, Asian cultures, other cultures, are that is a whole different kind of thinking. Whereas, French cooking, etc., is extremely raw and non-definitive. In other words, what I mean by that is, if it moved, as long as it satisfies my taste, then I'm okay with cooking and eating it.
Oh,
right? You see, whereas the Asian things, they had a similar thing, but they ate a lot more seafood because they were around that. And then, but there were a lot of Asian plant-based things too. So, man, the cuisines from different cultures. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah. Well, but that gives us a good insight. Yeah, that gives us a really good insight.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, something to think about.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, listen, they're waiting for me upstairs.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Tell them I'm sorry to hold you.
No, 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 no. They just called. So yeah, but you have a good night, and we'll see you all being well on Sunday.
Yes, Lord willing. All
Yes,
right.
I'm working out a tough part of my dissertation.